Hey, I am back with another SQL tutorial. Today we are going to talk about the cost of the query. I'm typically picking up questions from forums and there is a common question about query cost. In fact, there are many questions about this subject on the cost of the query. So I thought let's do a couple of videos and start from this basic one. Now, if you look at Management Studio here on the screen, I am picking up the first line, select start from person.person. This is from the AdventureWorks table and I will execute the query. Note that there are a lot of statements there. I've just picked up the first one and actual execution plan is turned on. So you get the result set and let us jump over to the execution plan tab to look at the execution plan. Now from the execution plan, you can figure out what is the cost of the query. This is something that you know. Let's take the cursor over select iterator and you will notice one data item here which says estimated subtree cost. Now the estimated subtree cost for the select iterator is the cost of the query. Because select iterator happens to be the first iterator in this execution plan, and subtree here would mean that in this tree structure, all other iterators are actually following after the select operator. So when we talk about subtree, we're talking about the combined cost of all the iterators present in the tree. Now the cost of select itself is 0, which you can see here, which is the estimated operator cost. Now this is something that you know, like you can just take the cursor over select operator and find the cost of the query. This video is not about that. This video is about where is this number derived from, 2.8. Now before we talk about that, there's another common question. 2.8, what does it mean? What is the unit of measurement here? Now for decades old reasons, there's actually no unit of measurement here. It'll be a lot of fun if this was like 2.8 kilos or 2.8 centimeters, like the query weighs that much or is that long or something. But no, 2.8 is just a unit, just a number here. And looking at just the number 2 obviously sounds that the query is the number is very small. So this number can go up to like 3-digit, 4-digit, 5 digits, and it can go really big. Back in the old days, this used to be the number of seconds it has taken for the query to execute on a single proc machine. But those days are gone. We're talking about late 90s and so. So anyway, that's a different discussion altogether. Let's just focus that this is just a number 2.8. Now the question is, where is 2.8 coming from? So let's look at the overall execution plan here. You have only one more iterator apart from select, so you have the clustered index scan. Now, this could probably be one of the most simplest execution plans you would have ever seen, but anyway, good enough to explain the concept. If you take the cursor over this iterator, even this one will have something called as estimated subtree cost, but I want you to focus on something called as estimated operator cost, which is 2.8. Now, when you take the cursor over these iterators, you call them iterators or operators. I mean, these are interchangeable terms. These iterators are like, isolated pieces of code, like each operator here, whether you call this iterator or operator, I'm using these interchangeable terms, are designed to do a specific thing. They take the data from the previous operator, do some function, do some operation on them, and send the output to the next iterator. That's why we call them as iterators, because they iterate over rows. And when you take the cursor over these iterators, you see a lot of numbers flying around. These numbers are not for the discussion for this video. We are going to focus on the operator cost. Now, if you look at the operator cost 2.8, this is the only operator here in this execution plan, 2.8. Which means if you look at the cost of the select operator once again, it is the same number 2.8. And when you say estimated subtree cost, in the subtree there's only one operator and that is the cost of the plan itself. Let's take this one step further and understand with a few more operators. So I'll take this query and just add an order by clause. So I'm adding order by first name. Let's go and execute this and jump over to the execution plan. Now you will see a couple of more operators there. Apart from the clustered index scan, you see a sort operator, and you see a parallelism operator. Now let's add up the numbers. So once I go over to the clustered index scan again, and you will see estimated operator cost as 2.8. Let's keep that in mind. Let's jump over to the sort operator and look up at the estimated operator cost, which is 56.5. So you're adding 56.5 to 2.8. That's close to 58 something. And then you take the cursor over parallelism, and let's look at the cost of this operator, which is about 3.0. So you're talking about close to 59 plus 3.0, that is close to 62, something around 61 or 62 something. Let's take the cursor over select, and now you will see that the estimated subtree cost is 62.3. So the overall query cost is 62.3. This number is coming up by adding the operator costs of all the operators that are present in this execution plan. You might also wonder that we are always looking at these costs as estimated. Now, you know that from a query optimization and execution perspective, these estimations were done before you executed the query. Now, we can't get into the query lifecycle, but yeah, just some very basics here. The query optimizer first prepares the plan, and that is when these costs are computed. And then of course you're running the query. So you're actually looking at these as estimated numbers. They're helpful when you're doing query tuning. They're accurate sometimes, at most times, but sometimes they are misleading also. But yes, these costs do make sense. So quick summary, how is this cost being derived? You are adding up the operator costs of all these operators, and finally you see this subtree cost on the select operator. That is the cost of the query. You might have also noticed that if you take the cursor over, let's say sort, somewhere in between, then apart from seeing the operator cost, you also can see estimated subtree cost, which is from this point onwards, what has been the cost of the query when you move right, including the operator that you are seeing. Yeah, so a lot of high-flying numbers out there, but I hope you get the concept of where is the query cost coming from and how it is being computed or how it is being derived. Hope this video was helpful. Happy SQL learning. If you like the content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell icon so that you're notified on new videos. Most importantly, visit SQLmaestros.com. There's a lot of SQL learning resources out there: video courses, master classes, lab kits, ebooks, blogs, hands-on labs, and a lot more. Follow us on Twitter @SQLmaestros and myself _Bansal. Last but not the least, do subscribe to our newsletters. See you soon in another video. Goodbye.